I'm sitting here in the geology building at A&M with Mr. Mike Pope. What's your role now, technically? I don't think you told me.
So I'm just a professor. I was the department head for 4 years, and I'm just a lowly professor now. Just doing the best I can to teach classes in the time of COVID.
Yeah. What has that been like? Has it been learning experience, I assume?
Well, and especially because like I said, the spring semester of 2020 I had off, so I wasn't teaching, and so I didn't get thrown into it like everybody else. I knew what was going to happen for the fall, so I had a little more time to prepare. I think, my colleagues here did a hell of a job being able to put up with, on one date, teaching class face-to-face, and the next date, nope, see ya, we're getting off campus, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
So it's just, and now no one was here in the fall, and now people are back in the spring.
Did you all have a lot of difficulties going to online assignments, video classes?
Yeah, we all had to learn a new system. Plus, coincidentally with this, the COVID thing, we were switching from one learning system to a new learning system. So we went from eCampus to something called Canvas, and it's a good tool, but it's a tool that no one knew anything about. So now we struggled in the fall. We definitely struggled in the fall. We did the best we could. Tried to tell everybody that, hey, students, we're like you, we're learning. Things are not going to be going so well. But, for the most part, it seemed to work out, and I think this semester it's a lot better.
How's the staff doing collectively? I mean...
the staff is here all the time. The office is closed. There's nobody been in the office, the geology office, except for the one guy who we met earlier watering the plants.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody in the office since March. so there's been no one here on campus to get help with sometimes. But, they're all available online, and we've all learned to deal with it. So I would say in the fall I probably saw 4 people on a regular basis in this building, mainly faculty, but there was a couple of grad students who I saw. But most of the time we had people who, you'd have video calls with them. Where are you? Oh, I'm at home. Where's that? Oh, in Maine or in Oregon or some other place. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and it's been tough on the students. A lot of it's been the hardest part is just trying to keep getting stuff done, because if you can't get your research done, then it's hard. If you're already at the point where you're writing, we finished. Just in my group alone with Art Donovan, we finished 6.
That's the guy I was thinking.
6 students. We finished 6 students since August, but we've not had, some of the other students who just started, they're having a harder time getting started and staying on track, because it's been hard to get data. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how has that been as far as collecting in the field or doing the research and things that are required for geology?
Every once in a while we get out in the field. We've had cases where landowners call us up and say, hey, we're going to be hunting for the next 2 months. You've got a week here. If you want to get out, get out. If not, we're not going to be able to let you out for 4 or 5 months. And so we've just not been able to do what we want to do. And then I'd say one of the bigger issues for us is the Bureau of Economic Geology is closed. Has been closed for a while. Yeah, been closed since March, and so they are able to work in the core workshop or the core work shed, but we are not able to work in the core work shed. Neither as far as we know, UT students, but somehow the Bureau gets to work there, but nobody else does.
It's a nice facility too.
It's a really nice facility, but if you can't use it, and the students can't gather the data they need to gather, that's been a problem. Yeah. So, we're trying to work around it as best we can, but that's definitely been an issue, is trying to get the students into the Bureau has a lot of data and just not accessible right now. So.
What's been a pleasant surprise for you, I guess, or one of the nicer things to come out of this that you didn't foresee or expect?
I don't know really a whole lot of it. Like I said, it's just been different.
It's been a challenge.
It's been different.
Yeah.
I got a lot of papers written last year. That's for sure. That was fun.
Oh, that reminds me. I was looking up some of your work, and I didn't know you were doing, I'm simplifying and paraphrasing, but basically asteroid impacts and carbonates?
I have in the past.
Yeah?
I haven't done a lot recently, but I have done in the past. In fact, we should stop on the, we always stop at Sierra Madera
The Astro Bloom.
Yeah, the Astro Bloom is basically a meteorite impact. I had a woman get a PhD there.
Nice.
So she did some really nice work. So yeah, we were doing that for quite a while, trying to figure out stuff, but it never really panned out as well as we'd like it to. So, but we did get some stuff done, and students got theses and
what were the problems with it? Exposures or
exposures, and it just didn't give us a unique answer. It was hard to tell the deformation was directly caused by the meteorite. There's other deformation going on out there in some of those places, or even diagenesis that overprints it, and so it was hard to tell. We didn't find the kinds of things we really had hoped to find. What's
the age of that? Do you know?
That's a great question. That was one of the big things we tried to figure out. All we know is it's after the Cretaceous and before sort of the Pliocene, because you've got Cretaceous rocks that are deformed, but then you don't really have anything until you have these really young streams. So it's like there's just nothing to date. And the thing we could have dated, unfortunately, we just didn't get access to. There was it's a very large ranch, and they didn't really like. State of Texas, we learned something. The person who owns the ranch can allow you out whenever you want to go. The rancher doesn't really have much say in that, but he didn't want us there. He was afraid we were going to get injured and then sue him instead of suing the guy who owned the mineral rights.
Interesting.
So, and so the mineral rights guy is basically the preeminent person. They run the show, and but he'd been renting this ranch for a long time, and they dug a huge pipeline right across the property, 30
Recently?
feet. No. Okay. When we were working there, though, so 30 feet deep across this property, and we wanted to go check out the bottom of it to see what was in the bottom, and they would not let us near that. It was a bummer.
That is a bummer.
It was a bummer. It would have been really fun to see. Actually, there's also. I've never seen it, but I've been told that Sierra Madera has somebody shot 3D seismic over it because it's a gas field. It's an active gas field, and it'd be nice to see the 3D seismic, but never seen it. Supposedly ConocoPhillips owns it. So we do some rather kind of fun stuff every once in a while.
Yeah. How did you get into it? Everybody's got their, I got into geology because
I got into geology. It was pretty easy, actually. I went to a community college in Southern California before I went to UCLA, and took a class. The guy who was teaching it was a young student who just graduated with a master's from San Diego State, and he took us on a field trip.
Where to?
That was it. Local area, right around the college. We walked around the college and we looked at granites, because that's what's the main rock type where I grew up, and granites, and then a whole bunch of gravels that cover the top of it. And we were walking around, and I said, "So how'd you get into this?" He goes, "Oh, I just got in because I like being outdoors." And he goes, "Oh," I go, "What do you do?" And he goes, "Oh, I walk around outside and I make observations and I write stuff down, and people pay me for it." And I said, "Sign me up, man." I'd spent summers when I was growing up in high school hiking in the Sierras, and so I've hiked many trails with friends of mine, and so I said, "Wow, this is great." So then I did that and went to UCLA, and I have a funny story that I had already finished an undergraduate AA degree in political science when I decided to be a geology major.
Did not know that.
And I went and saw the counselor, and she looked at my things, and I told her, I want to go to UCLA and be a geologist, and she laughed. And she wasn't trying to be mean, but she just said, "You haven't had any calculus, you haven't had any physics, and you've only had one chemistry class, and you're going to go and compete with all the pre-mids in chemistry, physics, and calculus. Good luck." So, I did it. It took me longer than I thought. I ran track and field too, so.
What was that like for you going in there? I mean, your mindset was kind of made up, it sounds like, and you were determined, but was it as hard? Were your grades bad?
My grades were average.
Yeah.
I get B's, but I was just, I was a track guy. I was going there for track, really. I mean, I'd already signed up before I decided to change my major. I was going to UCLA because they had a great track team, and I wanted to be on the best.
Yeah? What'd you run? What'd you do?
800 to 5,000. and my best was like 4:01 for a mile. I never got over the psychological hump that you need to get over.
Yeah.
Once you get over that hump, you're pretty much set. But I never got over it. So, it was a different time, long time ago.
Still a pretty good claim, I'd say.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun, and it helps me because I'm in pretty good shape. I can keep up with most of the students in the field. Not all of them. I'm getting older. So, but yeah, I did that, and then went to Montana for a master's, and worked in northern Canada for a master's. That was a lot of fun, and then between master's and undergraduate, and then between master's and PhD, I worked in California for engineering companies, and really good, fun, applied stuff. And the second one near Sacramento was just a lot of fun because I spent a whole year basically with a drill rig. The area was growing like crazy, and so we just would go around and drill holes all over the place to make recommendations about what people would do to either put new housing developments in or single buildings or whatever they were doing. And it was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of geology.
Very nice.
So yeah, it was cool.
What eventually got you down here to Texas?
Well, I was at Washington State. I was teaching there, taught there for 10 years, and they had a couple of things go on in 1998, 1997 that they made it pretty clear they were going to get rid of the geology department, or they were going to merge it and make it not the same. So, it just got me down here because I was looking for a job, and this was the best job that was available, and I've really enjoyed being here. It's a good department. We got lots of faculty, and we don't have a lot of infighting, so that's really fun, and we have great students. It's usually about the second or third biggest geology program in the United States, and we get good students, so it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. We get great grad students.
What would you say to anybody looking at A&M specifically as a geology program, or the basic sales pitch for it, if there's prospective students or whatever out there?
I think in the past it's always been we made some of the best oil and gas people, and now we still do that, but we're also trying to make sure that everybody who comes through here gets a really good broad education, so that day one they can go out and do pretty much any job as an undergrad. And I think that's the beauty of it. With the faculty as large as it is, you can take a lot of different kinds of classes. We revised the curriculum 4 or 5 years ago, and the curriculum is one of the best, and so we're really excited about it, and people work really hard, and I think like I said, the products have been good. We've had lots of really good students come do some stuff. So yeah, no, I think it's been fun.
You should get an honorary Aggie ring or something like that.
Hey man, I get to wear the clothes with little A&M.
Yeah,
people ask me, yeah, that's me.
Giggle.
But I'm not an Aggie, okay? I don't live here. I'm not going to live here after I get done. So
hey, you spend enough time here, though. I think it's hard to separate the two.
Yeah.
Especially with I come into this town every time it's a different skyline. You've seen a lot more than I have in the past
They've
few
grown
years.
a lot since I've been here. We went from 48 to 60,000 students in the last 12 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Some of it still looks the same, though.
Oh yeah, some of the buildings, like this building's been here a long time. It's not going anywhere. It's not changing.
This is I don't know if he's still here or where he's at, but Thomas Olszewski, first class I ever had here.
Oh, is that right?
In college.
Oh, wow.
The intro geology class.
Wow.
It was literally the first class I ever had in college, and from that point I was kind of hooked on it.
You were hooked, yeah.
I stayed around. I got a minor in it, and that in archaeology, and then I was over at Francis Hall right over here.
Okay, yes. Okay. Yep.
That's where RPTS was for the recreation and parks. So
yeah, sure.
This was my side of campus. But
yeah, no, Tom unfortunately is not here anymore. I loved having Tom here. Tom was a great colleague.
yeah, he was kind of a spicy personality.
He's a feisty guy. He's
Yeah.
a really feisty guy, and we loved him. He had a great opportunity though. He went and he's working for the government last time I heard.
Nice,
and,
good.
His wife's got a really good job working in the DOE. So yeah, no, it's been fantastic. All the best to him. So.
Good. Hey, West Texas probably is as good as anybody, and we've been sitting here talking about a trip out there. I know you're about to undersell yourself there. Typical geologist fashion. There's a lot we don't know, right? But talk a little bit about the carbonate trip that you've led out there that I've been on with you, and maybe just a quick overview of what it is, why someone would go on it, and what they would learn.
Yeah, so So usually what we do is we'll take almost a week-long trip, if not a little bit longer, to go to West Texas. And we generally come into El Paso because we can see the oldest rocks in Texas of general age that people see across the area. So we'll see the Franklin Mountain Group in outside of El Paso, and we usually try and set up the trip so we can be there on Sundays, because there's this beautiful road that's open only on Sundays to walkers and bikers, and so we'll look at that stuff there for half a day, and then we drive up towards Alamogordo. We'll go through Alamogordo. We'll look at a whole bunch of Mississippian carbonates as we go up the hill, and then spend the night somewhere either in Alamogordo or up in Cloudcroft, and then come back, and we look at some beautiful Pennsylvanian sections along the highway between Alamogordo and Cloudcroft. And then after that, we're pretty much going to look at Permian rocks. So once we leave Cloudcroft, we're up in the mountains, and we're going to be up on the high plateau, and we're going to be looking at Permian rocks all the way for the rest of the trip. And so what we do is we start in the back sort of evaporitic facies of the lagoonal facies, if you want to, going out towards the open shelf. And so we have a number of stops set up so you get to see some beautiful prograde incliniforms in the Permian. So we'll go out to a place called Last Chance Canyon, or maybe even DeLawyer Canyon up on the Algerita Escarpment, see some up-close facies. So these facies are important for oil and gas because these are big prograding ooid shoals. The ooids will dissolve and there'll be dolomite around them, so you have these beautiful reservoirs. And then same thing for the Last Chance Canyon. They're just a little bit younger, but it's the same sort of setup. You've got these big prograde incliniforms that people exploit in the subsurface. And the reason we take people there to show them is it's not a homogeneous blob that you can just stick a well bore into, and it's not like taking a straw and you're going to get all the oil and gas. It's a more complex system, so we try and show that to people. And then we spend time, we come around the front of the escarpment going out into the basin, and so you get to see the Permian. We take you on the Permian Reef. You get to go see the Permian Reef Trail, and then we take you down and show you the really deep water facies, and even some of the deep water silicious classics. There's an interfingering of deep water carbonates and deep water silicious classics. We take you and show you that on the field trip. So there's just a lot of really great things to see. You get to basically see the whole Permian from landward side all the way out into the deep water basin, and you come across it in sort of an organized fashion, and so you get to see all the facies and the relationships. And so we talk about that and what it means for exploration. There's a whole series of fracture sets that come through this, so you not only get to see the carbonates, but you get to see the fracture sets, and you can talk about what's happened to the carbonates and what's going to happen to them as they go into the subsurface, and what kind of reservoirs they are. So we talk about a whole host of things, from the Canberra Ordovician carbonates up to the Permian. That's what makes up most of the Permian Basin. And so we're trying to show you the good evidence of all the different types of reservoirs you might see.
How long have you been doing that trip?
I've been going out there since I was a grad student. So it's been 20-some years, 20, 25 years, been going out there. And
what was your first impression?
Oh, the very first impression I went there was just overwhelming, just seeing these things and things you've been reading about in books, and you can't imagine that they're there. And sure enough, it's just amazing. And I was actually taught by, the very first trips were run by Mobile. As a grad student, we would go out there, and Mobile ran field trips for a number of different schools, grad students. And so it was just great to see people who I've now had careers with. Mm-hmm. And the Mobile people some of them I had careers with because I worked for Mobile for a year. And so it was fantastic. But it was definitely overwhelming. The first time you see it, oh my gosh, it's so big. And you just think about, I guess that's the other sell about going there, is that the beauty of it is it's at seismic scale. So you actually get to see the same things you're seeing on seismic. In fact, we'll bring out seismic lines and we'll show you what it looks like, because there are a number of fields in the same, equivalent age rocks to the north. That's what they're drilling, and so it's pretty fun and very applied, right? I mean, it is definitely. We talk about a lot of the things that are going on, the things that are controlling carbonate sedimentation, climate, sea level, the organisms themselves, how they change, evolve, and go extinct. But it's pretty applied.
What's your craziest memory, story, injury, whatever from out there? I mean, you've got to have seen a lot.
Like I said, the worst thing I've ever experienced out in the field was we were on a field trip with a bunch of students, and one of the students decided that even though we told him he needed a hat, that didn't seem to be that important. We told him he needed to have a lot of water and food. He didn't seem to think that was very important. So at the end of hiking up the Permian Reef Trail, I sat down and I was waiting. I was supposed to be the last person. I was waiting for him to come back, and all of a sudden he's walking down the trail looking like a drunk sailor. And unfortunately, my TA had just left with the last radio. So it was one of these things where all the bad things that could happen sort of came together at one time. I got the student to sit down, gave him my water. He sat in the shade. I walked down the trail, finally got a hold of the student with the radio. We finally got people back up there. But, when it takes 5 of you to get one person down the hill, that's not efficient and bad. And, the student ended up in the hospital with highly, dehydrated and ended up with a whole bunch of intravenous fluids. So, that was by far the worst I've ever had. We've had people twist ankles, strain knees and stuff, but we've never had anything like that. And I hope to never have that again.
Have you seen any rattlesnakes out there? Because I've personally never seen a rattlesnake out there yet. I've seen them.
I've seen plenty of rattlesnakes.
Have you really?
There. Yes, I've
never
seen plenty of rattlesnakes there.
Yeah,
I've seen rattlesnakes walking up the hill to Panorama Point.
Yeah.
I've seen rattlesnakes on the Permian Reef Trail. I've seen rattlesnakes out in Williams Canyon, Williams Ranch.
I was hanging around Arches after a field trip, and I was hiking down in the Needles district of Canyonlands.
Okay.
Southerly part. I was tired, took off my backpack, sat on a big red rock, threw my bag about a foot next to me, stayed there for 5 or 10 minutes, and I reach over to get my bag, and the whole time, baby rattlesnake was between me and the bag. Only time I've seen a rattlesnake in the field.
No. Yeah, we
started paying more attention after that.
Yeah, we seem to see them all the time.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Very cool. What about Big Bend? Because you're a Big Bend guy too, as far as geology goes.
Yeah, I love Big Bend. I didn't even know Big Bend existed until I came to Texas, really. I mean, I knew of it as a park, and I may have even been to it as a kid because my parents were teachers, and we went all over the country in a van every single summer. We drove everywhere, all of the 48 states. So,
how many people in that van?
Me, my sister, and my mom and dad.
4 people. Nice. A lot of fighting or no?
Oh, no. It had a bed. You all laid. If you weren't driving, you were laying down.
You were living the OG van life. You were doing it.
So I just don't remember Big Bend. But when I moved to Texas, we started to run field trips there, and oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful place. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
So it was just a lot of fun. I like going there. It has beautiful rocks, beautiful structure, things you can get to. I teach a sort of junior, senior level class where they go there and they write up about one of the units themselves. Each person takes a unit, and they run that unit while we're on the field trip. They're the ones who run the discussion about that stop and those units that are exposed there. And it's a lot of fun. I have a couple exercises we do that looking at sort of laccoliths and what a laccolith is and how it develops and how do you know there's an actual laccolith and not just some sort of other intrusion. So we do some stuff that's kind of fun in the field. You spend half a day mapping, making little small geologic maps and stuff. So it's just great because you get to see, old Paleozoic rocks, you get to see deformed Mesozoic rocks, you get to see young volcanics. I mean, there's a variety of things to see, and it's just a beautiful park to get around in. So.
As far as knowing if it's a laccolith or not, is there a cheat sheet? Is there a short answer to it? You just have to go out and do the mapping? And
you got to do the mapping. Yeah, you got to do the mapping because by definition, a laccolith is supposed to be a flat-bodied intrusion with a domal top. And so we just make you map, and you can either figure out whether you think it is or it isn't. And I'll tell you what I think the answer is, but it's not exactly straightforward. That's for sure, because the top of the laccolith is sort of gone, but it's pretty easy to see the bottom, which is pretty fun. Actually getting to see the bottom of an igneous intrusion. So, yeah, and we do. We walk around in the basin and we look at some of the volcanics, and look at the different kinds of things that are formed there. And the other thing I like about going to Big Bend is there's a variety of animals, right? There's the pigs, the bears. We've been forced out the last couple of years. We've shown up when in the fall when there's the bears are trying to eat some sort of pine nuts along the one trail that goes up to the Lost Mine. It's been closed the last 2 years. So, tarantulas. I love tarantulas. Man, there's some big, beautiful tarantulas in the park. Not everybody likes that, but I like that a lot. Like you said, snakes, lizards. There's all kinds of.
Javelina, man.
Oh, we saw a bear. We did see a bear coming through the park one day. Javelinas are there. We've not seen a mountain lion. And I'd kind of like to be a long ways away to see a mountain lion, but they're fun and the views are spectacular. My gosh, going into the canyon at what's the name of the big, huge canyon? It's
Santa Elena, probably.
Santa Elena, yeah. I mean, just gorgeous stuff. And then the hot springs. We usually have one day if the hot springs are open. I've heard they're not open right now, but if they're ever open again, that's always a great way to end the day. We usually walk from the campground over the hill and down to where the hot springs are, and we look at all the different units to get there and look at a bunch of fossils and usually get out some Brunton compasses and make people make measurements so they get a feel for what the actual strata is doing, and then we end up in the hot springs jumping into the river and wading over to Mexico.
No, that's awesome. I was there in November and I did the window for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
All the way to the end, which was amazing.
Yep.
It was really beautiful. Did that at sunset.
Was there any water in it?
There was none.
Yeah, okay.
There was none. But
still, though, I bet you got out. You probably got out way farther than I will ever get out in the window because there were people. I've seen people crawl down.
That rock is slick too.
It's very slick.
It is well worn and polished.
Yeah, well, we were there. Must have been like 3 years ago now, where there had been rain for 2 weeks before that, and there was water, and they call it the window. And the thing is, if you take there's a trail beforehand that goes up and down.
Oak Springs.
Yeah. You get up on the top and look down, the water's shooting into the basin. I mean, or down into the valley floor. It was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. I'd never seen anything like that.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, that was fun. Ernst and Aha is, it's a great walk to go. Now Ernst and Aha basically exposes the same rocks that you see on that walk from the campground over to the hot springs.
Okay.
So, it may or may not be something you do depending on which one you want to do. The thing about Ernst and Aha is there can be shade, whereas the trail between the campground and the hot springs, no shade, absolutely none. It's right out on the point. You're looking down at the river the whole time. You're just going, I want to get to the water where it's nice and cool because there's no shade. It's a desert, and that's tough. But there, we'll stop. Usually we take the dirt road on the west side of the park. It's a pretty easy dirt road, and we have some stops to look at some of the units in there because there's some really fun units that people can see some big fossils. You can't collect anything, but there's easy to see big fossils and stuff. Yeah. So that's always good. And then hopefully we'll get to go on the southern road next time we're there. I have not been on the southern road, but I'd really like to try the southern road.
Is that the 4x4 dirt road?
Yeah. But they also say the west road is a 4x4 dirt road.
Yeah, the only 4x4 road there is a Black Gap road. That's it. And I think we were doing one field training, and I remember we had a stock expedition, and it was 4-wheel drive, but it wasn't lifted. It was on street tires. We got it up and down the Black Gap road.
Okay, yeah.
It scraped a little bit here and there, but the rental car company didn't need to know, and we made it. Daniel was driving at the time, and Daniel was like stone cold. I don't know. I would have been a little nervous if I was driving it, but I would get out and spot him, and everybody else was in the car. It seemed like it went on forever when I was in there, but he did a good job. We got out there.
Great.
And then on that November trip we were there, I was in the Jeep in November, but there was a 4Runner that had flipped over just from being stupid. It went high on a bank.
Oh my gosh.
Because that's what you do when you're off-road yeah.
Sorry.
Airbags popped out. The Ranger had to come pull them out.
Oh my gosh.
It was wild.
Wow. Huh.
So that was a first. And I think overall of the places in that park, if I go there, the base and the Chisos Mountains is kind of my favorite. I went to Dog Canyon for the first time, which is wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been there, but
It sounds like something I have been to.
It's close to the entrance of the park, and there's a wild. It's a little creek that drives through there, and it's a thrust fault, I think, or something.
I've not been there, but I know that there is. Yeah, there should have been a thrust fault there because there's a right when you enter the park at the north end of Persimmon Gap, you can see the rocks overturned.
Mm-hmm. That was my interpretation.
We usually make students get out and make a sketch there, so they get a feel for what the geology is, because that's the only place you get to see that much structure in the park. Everything else is normal faults, extensional faults, but right there, as you go into the park, there's beautiful thrust faults.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite spot?
I like the hot springs.
Number one.
I like the hot springs. If I was going to go, I'd go to the hot springs.
Yeah.
It's just, there aren't too many places around where you can be in the hot springs and jump into the nice cold river and sort of go down a little 50 meters and get out and come back in the hot springs and just make little circles.
Yeah.
No, I love going to the hot springs. The whole park's really neat, though. It's a beautiful park, and there's so many things to see: volcanics, sediments. I don't know a lot of metamorphic rocks, but igneous and sedimentary rocks. Beautiful.
Just nice beautiful dinosaur exhibit they just opened too.
Right.
Saw
There's
that
a
for
beautiful
the first time.
dinosaur exhibit out in the front of the park as you're driving in. Yep. No, there's some really nice stuff in the park, and I think they're doing a really good job trying to get it out to the public. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, thinking about hot springs, I guess, hiked in the Sierra Nevada for a little bit, not as much as you, but they do have some good springs up there. Any hidden gems, secrets?
Yeah. Actually, nowadays, I don't really go into those. A friend of mine his dad was a...
Did you get the amoeba?
Well, he didn't get it, but he told us. He said, watch out. Be very careful. No, yes, that was the problem. Yeah, it wasn't a problem when we were kids. We just did it, and we didn't think about it. But afterwards, he told us some scary stories about what his dad was a brain surgeon or somebody and had to work on people who just did nothing there.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Not worth the risk for some hot water?
No, exactly not. Exactly not.
Yeah. We were hiking near Muir Trail Ranch, which is it's halfway between Sequoia and Yosemite, in the middle of the Sierra Nevada. It's a little pack ranch. But on the map, they had these hot springs. And I got over to there, and there's just this muddy, shallow pit in the ground. And then I stuck my foot in and was like, I think I'm good. And we had been hiking for 4 or 5 days. Like, we were smelly, we were tired, sore.
Said, no, we don't need that.
Hard pass. Smelled sulfury, so.
Yeah. No, it's
just clear and sulfury, maybe.
Even then.
In
fact, one of the things I tell people about why you really still filter water when you're up high in the mountains and you're getting water like off of the snow, because when I was in Canada, where we would work in the summer, all the caribou would all go to the snow to get away from the bugs. So then, hey, guess what happens when that melts?
Nature's bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. So not too good. So we try not to do it. I know once in the Sierras, I drank out of the spring for like 4 days. We were doing a mapping project, and last day I figured out there was a mouse sitting in the bottom of the thing. He'd been there probably the whole week I was there.
Did you get sick after that, or were you lucky?
I did not get sick. I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got really lucky. Yeah. No. Filtered water or not.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't mess with it.
Especially since filters are so small, there's so many options. There's no reason not to anymore.
Exactly. They're way cheaper than a hospital stay.
Yeah, especially out in some of these remote places. You don't know what kind of doctor you're getting out there in Van Horn, Texas. Nothing against Van Horn.
No, nothing against anybody who just not used to seeing some of these things.
Yeah. What is your best memory, or I don't know, craziest story from the Stevens Hotel down there in Carlsbad? I know we stayed there for a while.
My craziest story is that as a grad student, we went there when I was at Virginia Tech for a PhD, and we were on one of these trips with the mobile guys. And the mobile guys, sleep under a room. And we've got like 6 grad students in one of these rooms. All I remember is just sleeping on the floor and, drinking way too many adult beverages at night and then getting up and doing it all again the next day. Just crazy, but a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Just amazing amounts of fun. The Stevens was always the place to go. I'm not so sure it's going to be the place to go anymore. They've sort of changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's
Carlsbad has grown a lot too.
oh my gosh, Carlsbad's grown like a weed. Last time we were there, the hotels, you couldn't get a hotel for less than $240. It was just amazing. You know, it was right in the boom, and yeah, no, it's grown. It's much bigger. I don't even know if some of the restaurants are there, but we've always appreciated going to the Red Chimney.
Yeah,
the Red Chimney's
you remember
open.
the calamari we got there that one time?
We're stopping at the Red Chimney if we get a chance. So yeah, no, I really like being out there, but
it's a nice place. I remember we ordered the calamari from there, and they had a lot of good appetizers. The calamari came out in a fish stick form, and everybody ate it. But I was just expecting a different shape for that particular food, you know. Great barbecue, though.
You know, you're in the middle of the desert. You
it
can't
is what
expect
it
what
is.
you get in calamari.
Yeah. What was you had a go-to that was real close to the Stevens. What was that restaurant called? Do you remember? I could be conflating places, but I want to say there was a restaurant nearby that you liked going to.
There's a diner. There's
yeah.
a diner nearby. Yeah, the no what is it?
No Weiner Diner.
No Weiner Diner.
There it is. Yeah.
Yep. Hey, good home cooked comfort food.
Yeah.
You know, it was great.
Nice. Good old Carlsbad.
Yeah. No, Carlsbad's a good time.
Yeah. I don't know if it was our trip. It was definitely one of the ones at the Stevens. I'm probably combining stories too. It was definitely one with you, but one of my best times on the trip was we were out there, and I think we had to rearrange stuff because of weather, or we got a late start, but we needed to do a lecture, and the hotel was like, yeah, we don't have anything like that here. Like, we got the Blue Cactus and there's a Tejano night. So we went into your room, which was like the suite.
The suite, yeah. That's
the best they had to offer.
Yeah.
And we got a bunch of pizzas, sat in there, put the projector on the wall, and put X number of people in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that was a nice thing. They built that extra building at the Stevens, and all the rooms on the upper part are all suites. It was pretty nice. I mean, because there's way more room than I needed as one person. That's for sure.
It's got a certain charm to it.
It does. Everybody's got stories. I don't know of a geologist who's been to look at the Guadalupes and didn't stay at the Stevens sometime along there. Yeah, the only thing I would say that I really didn't appreciate when I was at the Stevens was the hash browns for breakfast.
No good hash browns.
Usually not very. No, you had to ask them twice to get them crispy.
Any final words, closing comments? You want to promote anything that you're doing, or?
Oh no, let's just hopefully we can get people to come with us and go to Big Bend in West Texas. That'd be great. You know, we get some people to do that, and then I think, like I said, down the road we'll see if we can get a Scablands trip run, so we can get some people up to the Pacific Northwest to see the sort of both the geologic story and also the human story about J. Harlan Bretts and some of the interesting things that went on in trying to get the science out. You know, cool. It's a good tale to try and get the science out to the general public. So yeah, that'd be super.